Hi everyone, I'm back. Sorry for not uploading a video last week. Yeah, I was pretty ill last week for the beginning of it, and then for a while I wasn't feeling up to uploading. But this will probably be the only video this week, and then I'll be back to hopefully trying to do 2 videos a week. But yeah. So for this week's video, I tried to draw a semi-realistic painted Yami, and I tried doing so in a way that would look like it would fit into a portrait. I saw another YouTuber do this ages ago. I can't remember the name of the YouTuber or exactly when I saw it, but she drew all of her original characters in like all these portrait frames and had them all on one canvas, and it just looked like a very nice, very cohesive piece of artwork, and I kind of wanted to tap into that a little bit, but I still got a ways to go. The actual frame itself needs changing, and I don't know, I think it just looks a bit off for me. So if anyone can tell me exactly what is wrong with it, or if they can tell me where I can improve, I'd be very appreciative. When it came to picking the colors, I found that my flat colors I thought I chose quite well, as well as the highlights and the shadows really. I think it was just how I applied them. I don't think it served the drawing very well, or the painting, if you will. But yeah, I don't think it was too great the way how I actually used the colours, and I think it could have done better with a lot more hard edges. For example, around the face area, it's just too soft from where I've blended it in, which you'll see later on in the video. For the lighting, I wanted to use the soul brush and kind of make it so that the lighting looked like it was coming from underneath him, giving him that blue glow upwards towards his face. The reason I use the soul brush is because I thought the inconsistencies would make it look a bit more interesting and give it a bit more texture. I don't think I did poorly with where I put the lighting. I think it was just the amount of lighting I had onto his face. For example, I don't think there was the need to have as much as I did on his cheeks, but that kind of stayed, and there were parts where I tried to tweak it later on in the video, but for the most part they stayed, and I think it kind of took away from the overall look of the face. Or, you know, I could have actually changed the shading style so that it looked more appealing rather than the way it does now. I kept turning the sketch layer off and on to remind myself that this is supposed to be a painting and there's not going to be any hard lines from like just doing line art or anything. And every time I turned off the sketch layer I realized how ugly it looked, but I tried to do the whole trust the process thing and I wasn't sure on how I was feeling with it. Something some of you may have noticed is that partway through I started to try and use more dark blues as the shading. However, I can't remember where I got the advice from, but it was the advice that if the lighting is more cold or cooler colors, then you should always go for warmer shadows, and if you have warmer highlights, you should always go for colder shadows. And I didn't realize how effective this was until I put it into practice here, where I tried using blues to have as shade and lighting, but then when I changed it to like a warmer brown or orange type color, it started to look more, more like how it should in my head. Around about here is where I started working on the hair because it was kind of throwing me off having such a rendered face, but then having this flat blue-grey colour just around the face was just, it made me feel like I wasn't finishing the face properly, so I went on to do the hair to see what I could do with that. And I very clearly need practice on doing hair because whilst I don't think it looked terrible, there are ways that I could have done to make it look more like hair rather than how I did it here. My process of actually rendering the hair was to scribble a lighter shade of the hair on one side that was kind of facing down or outwards, and then using the blending tool to kind of blend it in so that any inconsistencies kind of gave it a bit of depth, so that partway through the big blotches of the lighter colours you'd get tiny bits of dark, so that it kind of gave the illusion that it was fully rendered hair. And then for the shadows I did the same, just with a warmer grey colour, which I think gave the impression I wanted it to give, but as I said before, it could have been a lot better, so I would need practice doing it. For the clothing, I found it a bit more difficult purely because it was already a blue colour. So what I found that for the shadows I had to lean it more towards purple, which was closer to red, which I think helped it a lot, but I think I made it a bit too saturated. So I think if I ever redid this drawing, I'd have to make it a lot less saturated and maybe a bit more darker. But other than that, I think that going towards purple was the right kind of direction, because it just made the entire thing have more depth, and I was quite surprised with how the shirt actually came out specifically. There was a couple parts on the hoodie where I took inspiration from other artists where they talk about having implied detail. So for example, with the zipper, rather than using my zipper brush, I blocked out a bunch of grey on the hoodie, and then over the top of that went with a lighter grey, and then over the top of that, as kind of like a highlight, a little bit more of a lighter grey. And it kind of gave the loose illusion that those are zippers, but if you look closely at it, it's just a line with a couple blobs sticking out of it. So that's about all I did for this art process for this particular drawing. Now I still got a lot to practice and a long way to go, but yeah, if you have any advice or any tips I can use or any video references you have for me, I'd be more than willing to give them a look and read over them, just because I am still looking for a ton of ways to improve. I think the worst part about this drawing was the shadow I put on his brow ridge. It kind of looked like he had more of a dent in his forehead than he needed to have. And I think that the frame itself, because it wasn't rendered to the same level as the rest of the drawing, it kind of took away from the actual portrait, which is what I wanted to be the focus of attention. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to please like. If you want to see more content from me, then please subscribe, as I'm still trying to make this my full-time job. If by chance you have any suggestions, like I previously stated, please leave them down in the comments. I will be sure to react to them. Even if it's not right away, I will get to you at some point. But as for now, that's about it. Bye.